Yeah, he was here just working on the wrenches, and then, hey, I got an extra car. Hold on, let me get FedEx overnight my driver equipment, and they made it happen. So pretty cool to see. He was staple in this building coming from the NHR ranks from about 2005 to 2010, and hadn't been in a midget since. So it's been well over a decade now since he's driven one, and it'll be interesting to see if he can pick things back up to where he was about 12 years ago.
Taking a look at car number 57, driver Jack Routson, I should say, from Genoa, Illinois. Sponsored by a law firm. Always kind of a scary thing.
Going to try to lay down the law here in Driven to Save Lives qualifying night. There is the 19C, I believe?
19F. In fact, that's Frank Flood.
Ah, Frank Flood.
So we were talking about the diversity of the field. Right. Here, just in this first heat race alone, Jacinto, who obviously micro stud has dipped into wing sprint cars, been very, very good in the midget as well. Frank Flood, the micro star, is coming up in this one. Cruz Pedregon, our NHRA champ. The back row of this first heat race features two World of Outlaw drivers, one current, one former, in the form of Wayne Johnson and Darren Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman, the 2013 World of Outlaw Series champion, and there he is. We saw him on the Virock night taking a opportunity to run that race once again, and he looked really sporty as well. He's a guy, too, that you never want to count out on these things. They've got that 21 absolutely rolling, and I know Pittman, he's made the show here, and he knows what it takes awfully fast. We'll see if he can do it here tonight, as once again, you know, each and every year it gets harder and harder to make the big show.
A new venture for Pittman as well, as the new owner along with his wife of Ultra Shield Racing Products.
Yep.
So,
and when he wasn't in the pit area working on his race car, he was selling seats, so he's been busy this week.
Did you sit in one of those seats?
I did.
Oh.
Comfortable.
It's what I had in my car back in the day.
Ah.
Taking a look here on the front straightaway, you've got car number 51.
Looks like Zach Borden.
Yes.
Yep, Zach Borden from Cambridge, Wisconsin. Will be on the outside of row number 3 in heat race number 2 with the likes of Zeb Wise. And there's Andrew Felker.
Yeah.
Good to see him back in a beautiful race car. And, you know, we mentioned all week Brian Walker, Walkipedia on Twitter, fastest Twitter thumbs in the land, and keeping us updated that he's got the special sponsorship on that race car. And Andrew's got a new fresh Walkipedia suit as well. So
like it. He is a sneaky good race car driver. He's been a favorite of those playing in the fantasy pools for years.
Yep.
And I won't bother asking you how your fantasy pool is doing.
Dude, I woke up this morning 57th out of almost 1,100. I'm in the money.
You made a comeback.
I made a huge jump. Well, my platinum driver, Christopher Bell, got it done last night, so that gave me a huge jump in the points. So I'm thrilled. So anything higher from here is a win, but we'll see what happens. So Friday is always tricky with the number of cars. Usually it's a really big night. A lot more can happen, especially from your Group 5 picks on back. We also have the My Race Pass fantasy app, My Race Pass app with their fantasy game as well. I know a lot of people were checking that out.
Here's the 2C Racing midget of Wayne Johnson. Johnson's teammate last night, Whit Gastineau, looked good at times. Wayne getting ready for another season along the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars trail. 51R on the raceway, Ricky Thornton Jr., the late model stud, coming out and getting some laps running with R.J. Johnson and his crew this week. It's a good race car for him. That'll be a good ride.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, talking to him, you know, he really credited, obviously, Tim McCready blazed the trail for the guys with fenders to take their crack at the Chili Bowl. And, obviously, we had Nick Hoffman last night. Really excited to see what these guys can do. Obviously, Nick's been really fast and growing with his midget program, having more and more starts. But Ricky Thornton Jr., we saw him at the shootout. Now we'll see what he can do here at the Chili Bowl.
44 D of Ty Holsey from Owasso, Oklahoma. Holsey, pretty good open rail driver in his own right. Taking a look, the 47D, that's Connor Daly, one of the IndyCar stars, running for Ed Carpenter Racing, as announced this morning. Guy kind of near and dear and close to my heart, type 1 diabetic, also out there running. So showing that guys who are afflicted with juvenile diabetes can go out there and do anything and do it at a high level. So, and we've got trouble. Darren Pittman is already off racetrack and up ramp, and they're pulling lower panels off that car to get inside into the motor compartment. So Darren Pittman with problems early and is not going to make his practice session as the team going to work.
Yeah, if you're going to have an issue, I guess now's the time as we'll get Connor Wade in position. We're going to go ahead and launch this one. First hot lap through green. Connor, we'll get to you in a minute as Andrew Felker, first car to start taking a lap time here around the Expo Raceway on Driven to Save Lives qualifying night here. Night number 5, the final preliminary night of the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals. And we'll start to get the times coming in as this racetrack begins to get worked in. Awfully good yesterday. Should expect more of the same. 11-0 already for Michael Facino. So early leader in the clubhouse. There's Connor Daly. And just announced that multi-year full-time deal with Ed Carpenter Racing in the IndyCar Series, and that's going to allow him to run some trucks too as well. So Connor's going to wheel just about anything and everything in 2022. Teaming up with Chase Briscoe as there's Presley Trusden in the 11S. Trusden with Rams Racing this year. And checker flag is out. So Michael Facino, CB Industries 84, 11-0-2-0, and it's got to be a good confidence booster as one of the final CB Industry cars, in fact, the final CB Industry car to have a qualifying night. And they've been awfully good all week long. We saw Wyndham get a podium. We saw Dylan lock into a front of B main. We saw Ryan Timms looked pretty racy. So
Jacinto, Wise, Beilman, Routes, and Felker 1 through 5 here in the early going.
Chase Johnson, failed to mention him, but he also podiumed. So, all right. The bar has been set.
Yes, let us move forward as we have got Heat Race 3 and Heat Race 4, which will come down for a combined practice session next. Down the ramp they go.
I don't know if Connor Wade can hear us. Connor, you can go ahead and pop your mic up if you found out what was the issue with the Darren Pittman machine.
Yeah, so I'm over here, guys, and I talked to crew members. I got a word in with Darren real quick, and they don't really know what's going on. Darren just said that the car would not start, so they had the hood kind of popped off to the side, and we're looking under it, and we're also looking inside the cockpit as well, but seems to, for some reason, be an engine issue as they just cannot get the 21 car to fire.
I remember if it was last year, Caleb, or maybe 2 years ago, they had some similar issues getting that car to fire at the early part of their prelim night, or maybe even would have been Monday hot laps. So not sure, yeah, but he'll have an opportunity if they can diagnose it and get something changed to at least fire it off during one of these practice sessions. May not get a lot of laps, but at least he'll get a chance to fire it off.
I seem to remember it being electrical too at the time. So a recurring theme on the Pittman car as they go to work down on the inside and getting a look, and battery coming out.
Yep.
Not the first time we've seen a battery this week.
No, we have not. So they'll continue to work at the top of the ramp, and a lot of space obviously now as we're just getting practice through, so they'll have some area to work upstairs without going all the way back to the pit area. As like Caleb mentioned, 3 and 4 are on the racetrack, and down the ramp they go.
Old battery out, new battery in real quick for Pittman. We'll see if that fixes the issue as Heat Races 3 and 4, and in a recurring theme, there will be a lot of good names running in all of these heat races tonight. Again, 82 cars. It is a deep, deep field this evening as you get a look at Ryan Bernal, Hollister, California driver, outside row number 2 in heat race number 4.
We all remember the name Bernal from last year's Soup run from Jason McDougall. If you haven't seen it yet, please do yourself a favor. When we get a little bit of a track prep break, go to the Flow Racing tile and check out the Jason McDougall Soup run from last year. Obviously, Bernal, you coined the phrase the most hated man in Tulsa, and we talked to him a little bit earlier this week, said it took a while for him to kind of get over that, felt really bad about the situation, and obviously we know the speed he has had in the past. He's locked into an A main before a couple years ago.
A good guy nonetheless.
Oh, yeah.
Though.
Super nice to talk to.
Yep, absolutely. A racer's racer, too. He knew what happened. So, on the racetrack as well in 72J, starting right in front of Ryan Bernal. That'll be Sam Johnson out of Missouri. Kokomo Joe's sponsored car. Good-looking race car for Sam this year coming in to contest the Chili Bowl. In behind him, it's the Driven to Save Lives entry.
I believe that's Ryan Newman.
It is out of South Bend, Indiana. He goes off 9th in heat race 4, so Ryan's going to have some hustling to do.
Yeah, and it's good to see Ryan back, obviously running the Driven to Save Lives theme again this year. And actually his nameplate on the visor is one of a donor that unfortunately passed away, but saved a number of lives. I think 6 lives. I read the story by choosing to be an organ donor. And obviously it all began with Brian Clausen and his decision to be a donor and the tragic death leading to save 5 lives. And that story continues. So the Clausen Marshall Camp, really cool that they're going to honor. We'll get a look at the name when he comes around. I didn't quite see, but really cool to have that individual riding along board with Newman this week.
Kenny Johnson out of Connecticut, running in the 46. Fires off and making laps around the inside of the speedway. He will go off inside row number 2 in heat race number 3. Following him through, look at the 31M, David Boudris going outside row number 4 in that same 3rd heat race. Car number 97, I believe we'll score that as the 97R of Ryan Ellis. Ellis goes inside row number 2. He's from Fairfax, Virginia.
Darren Pittman, so we do see the hood is buttoned up, so he'll probably get a chance to hot lap this thing instead of just fire off and do a motor check. So hopefully they get him rolling this time by. We'll see once the pushed vehicle gets behind that 21. So maybe it was just the battery that needed to be changed, or it could be something worse. We'll find out.
Well, all eyes on Pittman and the blue and red flamed Jeep in behind him. As
There's
it's
one of
go
the
time there.
Yeah, one of the Brian Dunlap machines. Casey Schumann is going to be back behind the wheel once again. Works with the World of Outlaws on his day job, and then makes himself a pretty good Chili Bowl racer each and every time he's in this building. And a good sponsorship there by Woods Racing Products. Big time auto racing this year for them. And he was a B main runner last year, so trying to get his 6th A main this year. As there's Darren Pittman. And I don't think that was the issue.
Not yet.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not the battery. As Pittman in his Mopar powering a spike, pulls off and going to have to go back to the drawing board. You look at the AB of Colby Deming from Hobbs, New Mexico, outside row number 2. Another look at Sam Johnson's ride from the outside of row number 1 in heat race 4. If you guys want to follow along at home, by the way, with the live timing and scoring that we have going, the My Race Pass app is the way to do it. Whether you've got a Droid, whether you've got an iPhone, it's in the Google Store, it's in the Apple Store. It can also be found on your tablet or their website at My Race Pass. And you can follow along with live lap times, schedule, lineups, results, historical results, and even more, plus their fantasy game, all on the My Race Pass app.
The 11X of Donovan Peterson. And the 10J, Elaine Goodman out there on the racetrack. That's the 101 machine, driven by Chuck McGilvery from Madison, South Dakota. 75 around the racetrack as well.
Jen Hayes comes from Fort Worth, Texas.
Jace McIntosh running for Father Dave Mack and Robert Dalby.
53 is Brett Wilson from Coweta, Oklahoma. So you get a look at Schumann and Johnson racing. Car 10J, Lane Goodman from Broken Arrow.
Bernal with a good last lap there, 11.104, moves him up to 2nd. Goodman up there in 3rd in the 10J. And Jace McIntosh up to 5th as Ryan Newman, I believe, is down in the 19th spot, 11.7, so going to have some work to do there. But Ryan Bernal, best out of that group, 2nd overall, 11.104. Again, nothing on the line for hot laps. We're not paying out this year, but certainly we've seen the guys that have risen to the top, especially in hot laps, are some of the ones to watch and certainly the ones to beat here on their prelim night.
It is Facento, Bernal, Goodman, Wise, and McIntosh, 1 through 5 at the moment, as our heat races 5 and 6 will come down the ramp for practice session number 3. And all right, I'll throw down on this, Chris. and only me because I don't want to keep track of a whole bunch of other people's money. If Clinton Boyles can rip the quickest lap and keep it, $100 cash.
Okay.
$100 of Caleb's cash to Clinton if he can set the quick lap and hold it. He's got to be the quickest guy in hot laps.
All right, well,
because
should
remember
we have
last year,
Connor go tell him that? Maybe that added incentive?
No, he should be trying to do his best regardless.
Okay.
I'm just saying it for the world.
Right.
$100 if Clinton does it. We'll get proof and we'll put it out there. Our cohort through all of the Tulsa Shootout and on night 1 of this year's Chili Bowl. So it's worth $100 of my money if he can do this.
That. Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
In fact, hold on, we'll pull it out of the pocket. We'll put it right down here on the table. Fresh Husky.
Yeah, he's not joking, folks. The Hyundai is down on the table.
There we go.
And it's a Hyundai bill, too.
That's right. Fresh off the printer. Good to go. Bam. All right, Clinton.
Don't put it in front of me. I'll just put it in my pocket.
No, you won't.
There you go.
Well, last year, Clinton raised a whole bunch of money on Friday night that we ended up giving out to Kyle Cummins.
Yeah.
As that we had always joked that hot laps don't pay anything, and Clinton said, why don't we change that? So.
And Twitter exploded, and he had donations coming in. And
ended up about $1,500 to the fast lap guy. It was very, very cool. So, all right. So, here we go. There it is, world. Fresh Husky. That's yours, Clinton, if you can rip the quick lap and hold it. So, there you go, bud. I've got faith in him.
I mean, he's no slouch behind the wheel for sure. It'll just be tough because Justin Grant's still to come.
Yep. Brand new race team to him, too.
Yep.
Brand new car, brand new team to him. His car owner got in Wednesday night, and they were going over the build and everything else and anything else that they would need. So, but he's a talented guy, the crew chief to Hunter Schoenberg out there on the Flow Racing All-Star Circuit of Champions. Now, the car you're looking at, that's the 117 of Ray Seaman from Jetmore, Oklahoma. The 01K Bryant Wiedemann from Colby, Kansas, one of 4 Keith Kunz Motorsports cars going tonight. They had 2 last night because they moved one to Friday night. Brenham Crouch had requested a little change, wasn't feeling so hot yesterday, so he'll be giving her a go. All right, there's Clinton Boyles. He's got the correct car number, too, by the way.
Yes,
I don't know if you knew that. 11 is the best number. Boyles in the 11B. Makes his home in Greenwood, Missouri. Again, our cohort here on the broadcast. We spent a lot of hours in this booth with Clinton, and he knows just as cerebral a racer as you're going to find. This year, bringing the big dog racing, Spike with a Stanton underneath it. So, good luck to Clinton. There's
Speaking of booth cohorts, there's Logan Seavey, who's been with us 2 nights this week, giving us the peace sign. He's been fired up, and typically, like he mentioned, we'll run that car on Thursday. That was typically Kevin Swindell's night, but moved to Friday, and he's waited all week for this as a driver who's had a really good showing driving from the back up the front 2 years ago in the A-Main, trying to get this thing locked back in after Sammy struggles. He'll have a deep soup run, so Logan wants to make things a little bit easier on that team and put this thing in the show. As there's Kyle Cummins, the man who won the $1,500, going toward diapers last year in hot laps and ended up locking in the A-Main directly from the prelim night. We'll see if he could do it again with the Glenn Stires Racing camp. Tom Harris from overseas back with us and back with Keith Kunz Motorsports again. And boy, he's a talented racer as well.
Banbury, Oxford, Great Britain, the official hometown for him. Another one of the Keith Kunz cars going this evening. Harris is going to go pole position in heat race number 6. As you look at Dylan Ito, car number 73. Ito had a very good season on the West Coast. Ventura, California is his home. Firing off in the 4, it is Trey Gropp. Gropp goes inside row number 4 in heat race 6, which is arguably the most loaded heat race of the night. So it'll be a tough road to hoe for Gropp, but giving himself a best chance at it.
He's got a good opportunity, too. We've seen him with Mounts Motorsports in the outdoor season, running select races, but getting partnered up with the Dave Mack and Dalby Motorsports group, and certainly he's got a good power plant and an ability to drive here at the Chili Bowl. As pointing at the officials down there. The 68 on the racetrack of Jimmy Gardner from Denison, Texas, the 68C. And Corey Eliason, speaking of the Flow Racing All-Star Circuit of Champions, had a whale of a season challenging for the championship with Sunshine Tyler Courtney. And he's back once again with Rudine Racing. Good fleet of cars they've rolled out this year.
3-car operation with Corey, Chance Crum, and the big boss, Kevin Rudine, all competing.
Who took a wild ride on his prelim night. There's Clinton. Fresh lid as well. We'll have to see. He told us about his helmet paint job last year. We'll see what it looks like this year. Maybe he can bring it to the booth for us.
Chase McDermott from Springfield, Illinois is in the 40. And behind him, creeping into the picture in car number 23S, that's Kyle Simon out of Ohio. Green flag on the racetrack. All right, let's go, Clinton.
Transponder messed up. I don't think Tom Harris ran a 6-second lap. If he did, we're going to take that car straight to tech. As there's Logan Seavey in the Swindell 39. One of the most iconic race cars here inside this building each and every year.
All right, Boyles, where are you at, bud?
13th. Moving down. 14th. Come on, Clinton. Laps are winding down here in hot laps. There he is, ripping a tear off into 3. He's got Dylan Ito right in front, though. That may really hurt him. He can get by him here and get 1 lap in the books. That'd be nice. And oh, wow, issues there. Oh, he's all sorts of off the pace. And the checkered flag is out. So Tom Harris, sorry, son. It's actually going to go to Ryan Wiedemann at a 10.80.
Wow.
And Corey Eliason right behind. So the track is getting faster as Wiedemann out of the KKM camp.
Then Eliason, Facinto, Gropp, and Bernal. So Gropp, 3rd quick out of that group and 4th overall, with more cars yet to come in. As you get a look at Bryant Wiedemann. Nice lap for the 01K. So I just got a really cool message in from Pat Sullivan.
Yeah.
Pat was talking to Tom Schmee, the former director of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Former sprint car racer Len Shirley, Miami, Indiana, is watching each night of the Chili Bowl. Now, he's been legally blind since his flip at Millstream Speedway in 1966, which was just days after he was 4th in the Eldora 500. His wife, Marilyn, helps explain what they're watching.
Wow,
so he's
that's awesome.
Watching along with his wife, Marilyn, and she's kind of telling him how it's going here on Flow Racing. So, Marilyn, Len, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being along on the broadcast. It's we'll do our best. I feel an extra pressure now, and thank you, Pat, for the note. Very cool. Pat won the Media Member Year of the Media Member of the Year award from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame for non-wing racing this year. So congratulations to him as well.
Pat. Yeah, I saw him last night a little bit.
Thank you for the note, Pat. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you watching as well. Well, this is heat race 7 and 8 coming up for the 4th practice session. They'll make their way down the ramp.
And the speed, again, out of the KKM cars this year, obviously we know they're threats each and every time, but they could do the impossible and go 5 for 5 in preliminary night wins, as Justin Grant will be the last opportunity to knock them off.
Cool story here. Ethan Mitchell with us.
Oh, yeah, I got
Chili Bowl.
my shirt on. I'll have to take it off, or I'll show it here in a little bit, but go ahead.
We are all Bundy strong here coming up today, as we're thinking of Ethan's dad, Bundy, who's still recovering from his health incident that came up a little while ago. So understand he is on the improve, is what I've heard.
He is, yeah, back in Mooresville, and we're thinking of you, bud. I think hopefully he's watching our broadcast and is enjoying everything. Can't wait to see you back out at the racetrack here real soon. And Ethan's got a good piece underneath him as well, so it'll be fun to watch Lil Bundy here as Brenham Crouch, we mentioned, switching from Thursday to Friday. So the Keith Kunz Motorsports Camp, 4 cars running. They've typically gone from 3 each night. Santino Ferrucci mentioned the IndyCar contingency here. Ferrucci is back behind the wheel of a Dave Mack car, and he's pumped. He absolutely loves dirt racing after getting hooked a couple years ago at the Chili Bowl. He ran the Tulsa Shootout this year to get more laps. He says he wants to do much more dirt racing that his schedule will allow in the future, and he's certainly somebody that throws caution to the wind, and he's a gasser.
Yes, absolutely. He goes from outside row 3. There's the Oklahoma Cowboy, Ace McCarthy. You saw him with the big old Stetson on there earlier. It is McCarthy in the 28. He goes outside row number 4 here in heat race number 7. And the 68, it's Ronnie Gardner. Gardner's got an interesting starting spot as he's coming up in heat race number 8, starting 9th. And on that heat race, you definitely can see opportunity for Gardner to move forward and put together a pretty good score. He is one heck of a racer, really good engine guy as well. So see what Ronnie Gardner can pull off with a deep starting spot in a late heat race.
And Shane Cottle looked really racy, too, last night in that team car. So see what Ronnie can do here.
Tad Holloman's got the pole for heat race number 7. He's from Murray, Nebraska. You watch him in car number 20. And right in front of him, pushing off, in car 3C, that's Brian Walters from Spread
Careful.
Eagle, Wisconsin.
The Grand Cherokee missed the rear bumper and got into the left rear a little bit. Not too hard, but it slipped right off the bumper as they're getting that thing up to speed. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen a push truck go over the rear tire this year. I saw a couple videos on Twitter from the outdoor season. Hey, speaking of Twitter, I know a lot of you are logging on and have been with us all week long. You can use the hashtag #TweetYourFlowSeat on Twitter, @FlowRacing, hashtag #TweetYourFlowFLOSeat. Let us know where you're watching from. And I mentioned that, and while you get on Twitter and let us know where you're watching from the man cave or from the garage, Ashley Allenson Photography, we've heard from her this week. She's actually in the infield, took a picture back at us at the Flow Racing booth, and it's a pretty good seat from the infield here inside turn number 3. So, Ashley, good to see you. As there's McCarthy.
Speaking of Cottles, Colton Cottle right in front of him, the 9C out of Kansas, Illinois.
Yeah, Shane Cottle's nephew back behind the wheel. I used to run micros with him way back in the day. Good to see Colton back here at the Chili Bowl once more, running that 9C. There's little Bundy again with the Honda power plant.
One of the few guys in the field with the Honda power plant, and that is done by the Mitchell family. That is a Bundy-built motor, so.
Yeah, they take real great pride in that, and they've developed that program real quick and successfully over the last couple of years, and you can see the differences just pretty blatantly there with the headers coming out the right side of the race car. So a different look than we're typically seeing of most of the other competitors, but that Bundy-built Honda absolutely can rip. As the lights are out, we'll go back to hot laps here. Heat races 7 and 8 on the racetrack. Oh, one upside down in a big way in turn 3, and that's Santino Ferrucci. Nearly cleared the fence and went yard.
Testing out that Webco tubing that they've got in that car. He went sky pilot in that thing. Safety crew there to talk to him.
My goodness, he had some airtime. The steering wheel's off. We're going to catch his breath. Oh, my goodness. And the way that thing hit, too. Good to see Santino climbing out of the race car under his own power, but a heavy impact there on the flip. Crowd in attendance giving him a round of applause. And
I don't remember seeing him take a big one like that yet. Yeah, and he's going to take a second.
Yep.
As he should. Rubbing the kneecaps, and it's very possible because of how small the cockpits of these cars are. It's hard to get a knee guard into these. So your steering gear sits right over the top of your knees, and you try to get some foam padding or something like that. There's a number of people who make a knee guard. It's just so tight that often you don't have the room for it. So a collision put your legs right up into the steering gear itself, and that's a hard shot.
We'll have to catch up with Santino later. He's going to go ahead and take a ride, out on the mule. As you mentioned the knee guards, Dave Sharpley's been tuned in all week with Sharp Advantage and makes a really great product. Brian Ward down in the infield. Brian, what's the damage look like?
Well, the left front shock is snapped. You got the shaft hanging off the spud there up top on that shock mount. Not seeing a whole lot of damage here on this left-hand side, really. Even the drag link and radius rod, all those steering components look good up here. He does have a LaJoya seat in here.
Does he have a knee guard in there between the steering gear and where his knees would be?
There is a small pad where the left knee would be, but not a full actual guard in here. There's just a little pad there right in front of the steering box on that left side where it goes out to the pitman arm.
Now, I'm going to say 99% of these cars probably have a half box in them as opposed to a full box, so it only comes on the left-hand side, and that's really all you would need. But depending on how far up you would end up bouncing, maybe got into the steering bar, I don't know.
Santino did climb out, and they actually cheered him as he walked out of the track on his own powers. We look at the Joe's Racing Products replay. There's Ferrucci right there in the Dave Mack car, right up on the, got on the bike real quick, and that front end dug in, and that was the impact right there, the back of the cage, and then the second impact on top that really, really can hurt.
Well, we talked with Logan Seavey, and he said how important it was to know where your left front is here around the racetrack, because that difference of an inch or two can make the whole thing in the world. And you saw it, left front just got over the wrong spot, and Ferrucci's car is going off on the hook for the Dave Mack guys to thrash on it. He is scheduled for heat race number 8, so they have a little while, but not a ton of time to try to get her back together. And it'll be a bit of a thrash for the Dave Mack team and Santino Ferrucci if they continue to try to go on today.
So we'll get an update on Santino when we can, but they're going to take that car, like Caleb mentioned, up the ramp and try to do what they can to it, as we'll get the rest of the cars. We did go red there on the racetrack, so we'll get all the push vehicles back in place once we get the fence repaired, as they're hard at work there in turn 3. And that's also, a very fast part of the racetrack at the entry of turn 3, carrying a lot of speed, so versus flipping kind of center off. But I was just amazed the height he got on that thing.
Well, push vehicles starting to move their way into position to get these cars fired back up. Wild flip for Santino Ferrucci here in our 4th practice session of day number 5, the 36th annual Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals. Driven to Save Lives qualifying night here on Flow Racing.
That'll certainly update our Worldwide Technology Raceway official flip count. I think we were at, 33 yesterday? Something like that, Caleb. We'll get the official number on it. But we got a special guest finally with us in the booth. Caleb, it's all yours.
Welcoming in A-Main lock-in driver from Monday night, Tyler Courtney, going to be our color commentator for a while here on our Friday night show. Tyler, welcome in.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll stay as long as you guys let me. Don't sound like a fool.
It's been an adventure. We broke in Logan Seavey last year, gave him kind of the first run at things, and had Nick Hoffman in here. Obviously, Clinton Boyles has done a lot, so we love getting driver perspective and guys like you who compete at the highest level of what they're seeing, what they're doing, and in a weird instance like this, I know you haven't had to deal with it for a while, but hey, you just had a guy who absolutely wrecked their stuff really, really badly here in hot laps. If that was you, what would you be thinking at this point in time?
Well, for a guy like Santino, he just took a harder impact than he's probably used to. The IndyCar stuff, it's built for impacts in a different way, and these are kind of a little more. Your body takes a little bit more of the brunt of those kind of crashes. So he's probably wondering how he's going to feel later. But at the same time, he's a racer. He's going to want to race the rest of the night, right? And it's going to be. But they've got obviously a really good group over there at Dave Mack's camp, and I know they're going to work their tails off to get him back out there, and hopefully we'll see him here in the heat race.
All right, now you're going to get a good perspective on this side of the catch fence as far as what we're seeing and what you're going to see, and give us kind of an analysis of things. But the last couple nights, what have your overall thoughts have been, just how racy this racetrack's been, and these preliminary features have been incredible.
It's been impressive. The last few nights have been really, really racy, obviously, right? And but I think tonight's probably going to be a really good night as well. I think it's Friday night here at the Chili Bowl, and stuff starts to get ramped up. You're getting close to Saturday, and you got some exciting guys that go tonight, and then you got some guys that they're trying to shine here at the Chili Bowl, right? This is your time to show up and kind of shock the world or put yourself on the map, and so you get some of those guys, especially towards the end of the week here, that show up and show out.
Have you enjoyed the atmosphere this year and having the fans back once again? Yeah, last year was so weird with the empty arena.
Yeah, it's been. I think the crowds have been bigger earlier in the week than they've ever been, and I think that's awesome. But I think it's expected. Obviously last year we didn't get to have everybody like years past, and it was still an electric atmosphere. But I think this year is going to be pretty crazy, and it's going to be cool to see. Saturday intros and all that kind of stuff is chilling anyway, but I think this year it's going to be a packed house is going to be even crazier than it has been in years past.
And you're in, so you get to enjoy the day up until that point in time.
Absolutely.
No stress, right?
Yeah, it makes the week a lot easier when you can go out and lock in on your prelim night. You don't have to worry about something happening in the B main or anything like that, and get to be a part of the big race on Saturday.
Now, you got a little something to do tonight. Is at the end of our program this evening, you're going to draw for your position in the pole shuffle, figure out whether you're going to be 6 or 10 in that one, and obviously 6 much more preferable than 10.
Yeah.
But at least it gives you a chance to improve your starting spot, right?
The way my dash draws have gone all year, I'll probably draw the 10.
Well, we're green flag on the track once again. We'll see if we can get this practice session up and rolling. Ronnie Gardner in the 68. Taking a look at the 1F of Ryan Thomas out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Front straightaway as the 7R of A.J. Hopkins got the right front up. Two-car, Ronnie Howard out of Nesbitt, Mississippi. Leading around Mr. Crouch, Brenham Crouch at the 97K. As caution lights will come on, and that'll do it.
AJ goes top of the speed chart there with a 10.680. So AJ letting it rip there for the Ramey boys. So
they switched to Hondas this year over. They had I believe the McGinnis brothers. They used to have a sprint car on the Outlaw Tour for a few years back in the day, and they have a couple Honda motors that they had been developing, and approached Kevin and my brother about putting them in their cars, and they did at the end of the year, and went to Creek County and had a couple issues, but they spent a day at the dyno, and obviously it's paying off right now. 10.6 is getting it around here.
Yeah. And you guys are parked right across the aisle from your brother. How cool is that each and every year to see where your careers have gone, both him on kind of the mechanical crew chief owner side, and you obviously as a driver?
Yeah, it's been fun to kind of see our different paths that we've kind of taken, and but obviously we still end up in the same place at the. And even though he lives in Texas and stuff like that, we've almost gotten closer since he moved away. And but it's been fun. If they ever have questions or anything like that, especially on the midget side of things, because Kevin, his father-in-law, is definitely a sprint car guy, and their midget stuff they're getting better. But we've been able to help them out a little bit here and there. But they've got 3 good cars and 3 different drivers that they put in them now, and I think they put them in the show the other 2 nights, and so they got a good shot to put another one in the show tonight.
Be reminisced, too, to not obviously congratulate you on the Flow Racing All-Star Circuit of Champions Championship this year. Inaugural season going wing racing, obviously exceeded expectations, but could you if we told you this time last year, you're going to go out and win the thing, what would you say?
I just said you're crazy. So, I mean, obviously, you have the expectation, right, to go win the championship, but you have to be realistic at the same time. And so, we felt like our realistic goal going into this year was to, get on the podium in the championship and, win some races. And just everything started clicking after we won our first race, and it all happened. And it was just a pretty magical year, to say the least. And but, it's just, a product of, my whole team works hard, and we've got a bunch of great people behind us. And when you can put all those things together, usually good things happen.
I referenced Darren Clayton back in the day, probably about 12 years ago, who went from a non-wing guy, he was a USAC regular in the sprint cars, to going to the All-Stars. He won their Rookie of the Year that year, but in talking with his car owner and crew chief, he said, man, it was really hard early in the season to break some of the non-wing sprint car habits that he developed. Did you find that yourself?
So, like, this year, it wasn't as bad. I felt like last year when we were kind of doing a split schedule between wing and non-wing, I was able to get those kind of habits out of the way. Coming into this year, I think there's still instances that I get caught doing some non-wing stuff, but hopefully we'll get those out of there at some point. But
right.
I think on the shorter track, some of my non-wing habits have helped us, and but when you get to the big tracks, you got to get those out of your system.
Can you detail what those are specifically? Is it like corner entry stuff with getting the back end too far in?
Yeah,
or?
just throwing it in too much, like we do in the non-wing cars. The non-wing car, you're obviously you're driving a lot with the throttle. I've always described it. If you want to spin out a non-wing sprint car, you just hammer the throttle and you can break the tires free and spin out. If you want to get tight, you lift, you lose. You're not spinning the tires, so you can get tight. So you're doing everything in a sprint car. In the non-wing car, you're never. Sometimes you're all the way full throttle, but
sure.
most of the time you're floating between, from quarter throttle to three-quarter throttle. You're floating in between there, just
steering with the throttle pedal.
Steering the car with the throttle. And it's a lot same here with the midget. Here you're with it being so round, you're just steering with your throttle to get the car to do what you want it to do.
And in the wing sprint car, steering with steering wheel once again, right?
And you're kind of letting the wing do the work for you, right? And wherever you point that left sideboard, where that car is going to go. I remember the first night I ran a wing sprint car. It was at Lincoln, Illinois, and I went down in the first corner, and I went like halfway through the infield because I was not expecting the sideboard to pick up like that, and I was so I came out. I was running for Danny Smith. He's like, "Yeah, you just let the wing do the work, buddy. You don't have to steer it."
Well, a couple of your NOS Energy Drink fellow athletes on the raceway.
Yeah, I was just talking to Ricky, and I said, of course, the two NOS cars that are going tonight, you guys both end up in the same heat race.
Go figure.
But luckily, they're starting at the back here, and so they should be able to both get through there and get some points.
Now, you drove Ricky's car during the VIROC, as he's going to be out there. Justin Grant, obviously, the other one, as we'll watch this practice session. Is his car much different from yours?
It's pretty similar, honestly. All of our stuff's pretty close to the same. I feel like even over the last couple of nights with Emerson and Corey, we've gotten our stuff a little bit better even from Monday. So be interesting to see. Obviously, Ricky didn't get to practice, and he didn't run a midget a whole lot this year, so I'm sure he'll take these laps and make them count. Just make sure he gets all of them and be comfortable come for heat race time.
Well, Justin Grant takes over the top spot, 10.577. We've absolutely seen some rippers around the Expo Raceways. They're unofficial, unfortunately, because we're in hot laps, but still.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice to see the pitman got the car running.
He did, yes.
Fired.
We got some shots of the 21 as checkered flag is out.
Casey Kane with a great lap, too, at a 10.756. So officially through hot laps, it'll be Grant, Hopkins, Kane, Wiedemann, and Pittman 1 through 5. Stenhouse up to 6. Nice lap for Ricky. Corey Elias and Michael Facento, Brenham Crouch, and Trey Gropp, your top 10 tonight for practice.
Yeah, that'll do it. So it'll be time to go opening ceremonies in just a little bit. We talked about, some of the habits you may have had from non-wing to wing. Not running the midget as much this year, coming into this building, was it a little bit more of an adjustment period for you than years past?
Yeah, I definitely was rusty in hot laps. The first couple laps in my practice session was rough, and I finally got going at the end of it. And then even when I ran Ricky's car for his practice